This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half. Well, hello. It's great to be back with you today. Deborah Johnson here with our Women at Halftime podcast. It's so fun to have Greg with me today.
Hello, everybody.
He's with me once a month, and if you enjoy today, just keep looking back at some of those episodes. You will really enjoy. And we have a fun subject today, how to encourage each other as friends, colleagues, and spouses. We didn't really want to leave anybody out here, but encouragement is so very important. So we're going to get right to that. I want to make sure everyone is able to also access the webpage for this. If you go to womenathalftime.com, you can get there. But also, I write an article every single week based on our episodes, our shows, and you can get those by goalsforyourlife.com. It's all one word, goalsforyourlife.com/blog. So goalsforyourlife.com/blog. And on there is a place for you to even sign up to receive them right in your inbox once a week. I hope you take advantage of that because I have many people on this that really, really enjoy. So, and I do this for you. These are not for me. These are for you. So, well, let's get to this subject, how to encourage each other, friends, colleagues, and spouses. And what does encouragement mean to you, first of all, Greg, as we talk about that word first?
Well, it probably means, if we just took the word literally, to put courage into somebody else. So encourage means to put courage into somebody else. And that's certainly the effect friends have on me, that my boldness, my confidence, just in life, tends to go up as I spend time with people that can affirm or help me clarify those things. And, you know, certainly you're a big source of encouragement.
Yeah,
so.
Well, and you are to me too. And I felt like that was a good, we've been together for a very long time.
Yep.
and I think that's just grown through the years and understanding what will encourage each other as we gracefully are growing.
As I was thinking about the subject, there's a slight difference between encouraging somebody in their life and nagging somebody in their life.
Yes.
And the difference, I think, is when we nag, we've decided somebody's future for them, and we tend to want to push them towards that, as opposed to encouragement is more passive. It's bouncing off of somebody's idea, and just in the engagement of life, giving them your feedback, and many times that feedback is one of encouraging, of that sounds like a good idea.
Right.
But that sounds like a good idea is different than, you really need to do this. And so.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I don't respond real well when somebody tells me, here, you need to do it this way.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't work really well with me, so it doesn't go over. So, well, let's, I've put a couple little bullet points here that we're going to cover, and I'm sure we'll go off on a few tangents. But I put, first of all, be friends and don't compete. But I put the word in here, inspire. And as we encourage each other to be a friend, and there's a lot of books written about, being a friend and being, encouraging and all of this. But we are both by nature competitive. So I've been in the area of music for a very long time, in competition specifically, now doing a lot of speaking and developing programs. And you've been a professional athlete, extremely, extremely competitive. And as we have come together and encourage each other, it's easy to think about competing against each other. That could be, at least. And I don't think we have really faced that too much in our marriage. But at times that can definitely happen, and it's very detrimental unless you are encouraging each other, like in dieting or in something else, and to, try to put together a game. But what does that mean to you as well, that statement?
I think, especially when thinking about friends or colleagues, competing isn't really worthwhile. Mm-hmm. Some people compete merely as an opportunity or an eternal pursuit to feel better about themselves.
Yes.
And, it's difficult to be friends with somebody who never arrives at feeling good about their own success or, achievements in life. Yeah. Those are almost impossible people to be friends with.
Yeah.
So probably the first place, we need to start is that you've gotten to your place in life. I'm talking to those on the podcast. One choice at a time, and you are where you are. So be happy with that for today. If where you are today is where you want to be tomorrow, then put together some goals and some plans and do something to remedy that.
Right.
But as you become satisfied with who you are, you can be a better friend. And we're going to get into a little bit, how to be a friend.
Right.
But when you're satisfied with where you are, you can look at other people not as competitors, but rather as sources of noteworthy examples or as sources of inspiration.
Yes.
You can just admire them for what they do, for how they're managing their own challenges in their own life. They become people you can enjoy by just merely observing. For instance, our dogs, we don't compete with our dogs. And so we just enjoy them, right? The goofy things they do, whether it's, chase butterflies in the yard or, yawn after they've taken 3 naps during the day, and act like they're tired. We just enjoy them because we're observing them. We're not competing with them. Right. And I think that freedom to just be able to observe and enjoy people is the starting point of friendships.
Yes, and it really helps you to focus on the other person as well. And when you don't feel good about you and about what you have, intrinsically, it will be more of that self-focus and, all about me or all about,
Right.
And I don't know how many listeners enjoy listening to somebody talk all about them. I've worked in the arts for a very long time, and
in the speaking business.
Yes, the same thing. It's all about them, and then we'll switch subjects, and then we'll work again. We'll talk some more about,
exactly.
what they have going on. And to be friends and to encourage each other as people go along in a number of different ways, that always comes back, because that is usually, it's just the, lifting each other up. It all works together. So being friends, not to have that. I think I like the word compete or competitive, especially with ourselves, because it helps us push us on. But as we encourage each other, we want to inspire each other. So, and that brings us to that next little point on being on each other's team, rooting them on, encouraging them to reach their potential. And that is, I think, a very valuable principle, because again, it's so others focused on this, and it helps us to be able to get out of ourselves.
Yeah. So. It's difficult with colleagues when you feel like you're a rung in a ladder that they're trying to step on to move up, as opposed to somebody who's on your team rooting you on.
Right.
And unfortunately, most of the entrepreneurial world is a bunch of posers who, are trying to sell you or use you to get to wherever they want to go next. And humans, just in general, don't really respond well to being used. I mean, a lot of humans are used, but those people who use you are never going to be friends of yours.
Right.
And I always kind of look and think that a valuable human being is someone who sees potential in others. And because of that, they can appreciate the gifts in others. And therefore, they can celebrate with others. And it took me a long time in life to get to figure out what I was good at and accept that there was a lot of stuff I wasn't good at. And, when you get comfortable in that, it's, the world's a great place when you realize that you are good at some things.
Yes.
But then you get freed up to admire what other people are, good at. I am not a hard charger. I don't have to, I've never enjoyed working 12 hours a day. But I've learned to admire the people who do. I remember reading once that Bill Gates used to get to the office at 6 a.m. and he'd stay till after 6 at night. And, my knee-jerk reaction was, well, what kind of family life could he possibly have? But on the flip side, it's really wonderful that God places in the world people who create jobs, who need to work 12, 14 hours a day. And the result of their fruit is the rest of us, benefit, either by being employed or using their products. And so, there was no chance I needed to work like that. But I'm glad Bill Gates does or did. And that kind of attitude allows me to celebrate him. And in no way need to compete with him.
Right.
Or, the millions of guys and gals that are like him.
Yes.
And I'm sure, some of those guys would probably admire me, because I seem to be relaxed, know where I'm going, get a lot done without making it look hard.
Right.
But reality is, without them, I couldn't do what I do.
Right.
So we just need to learn to celebrate each other.
Yes.
And that starts with being able to see the potential in others and appreciate the gifts others have.
And you've done that as my husband as well, because Greg and I are different temperaments. I tend to be the type A, and Greg's a little bit more of the type B, though he gets a lot done, but he's just a different sort of temperament. And it took me a while to really understand that and accept that really for what it is. And I've learned different ways how to root you on and to encourage you, and especially like in your writing and your thought process. You have any of the listeners that have been listening to any of these shows and the podcasts will realize the value that you're able to bring with big picture items and with all of the deep thoughts that you're able to bring. And I tend to just get things done. I'm a doer. I'm a project person. And yes, I do my share of thinking, but I run a lot of things by you. And you encourage me to think deeper. And that's really a gift to me in our relationship when we're talking about spouses. And we've learned how important that is. That wasn't always front and center when we were raising kids. I mean, it was fast and furious, and we didn't talk through a lot of these issues.
Yeah, and kind of the way that works is, Deb is like a bee that it just goes around collecting honey, and she has scores of good ideas every day. And in my life, I don't get wound up by good ideas. I sit around and wait for great ideas.
Yeah.
The problem with great ideas is they take 10 to 20 years to come to fruition. So it can seem like I'm not chewing on anything or doing anything, but and I'm exaggerating when I said 10 to 20 years, but it just takes longer to let really good ideas stew. And unfortunately, most of our world requires something to get done this week, or we don't get paid. And
right.
So there's a balance there. But Deb and I are different personalities, and we've learned to appreciate that about each other. And we, by the way, we didn't get there easily.
No.
I need a certain kind of schedule that is different than Deb's schedule, and probably the biggest tension we've had in our marriage, at least early on, not in the last decade, is on schedules. I really don't like my schedule imposed upon, and
really.
So.
Yeah, that's very true. And I'm an early riser. I get more done before breakfast than a lot of people do in the first part of their whole first half of their day. So I just, I kind of hit the road running, and it's just kind of my makeup and how, my body runs, everything else. So, but encouraging, this really does apply to friends and our colleagues as well. And in encouraging each other to reach their potentials. And even though I sell products and and I have things available, I am not somebody to hard sell, and I want to encourage people as they go along. And I tell you, when you take advantage of some of the things that I've got, then there's a nurturing part to where I feel very honored that you've trusted me on that. And so, and to give even more. So I think, as we mentioned, in just, this competitive and selling each other and how we see posers out there, I think it's important for us in ourselves being authentic and understanding there's that real outward sort of focus. And I'm going to move on to our next point, which is really important. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. This is a really, really good one. Having 3 sons, it was definitely pointed out to me how much more women talk than men. How many words do we count a day? After I've had coffee, it's even more. So at the minimum, I think it's, the 30,000 words a day, but I'm sure I get in more. It depends on who I'm around. But that quick to listen for each other, I think you have focused on this little area. I see a few of your notes here on even asking questions. And so why don't you elaborate on that a little bit, on this little point of quick to listen?
Well, I think, your knee-jerk reaction is to think about friends and contemporaries or colleagues is that we add value to people's lives when we listen to them.
Right.
And, you're kind of motivated by adding value to people's life, which is why you're doing this podcast.
Right.
So, and it's a neat application of a New Testament line out of the book of James, be quick to listen and slow to speak. I know when I think about adding value, it comes not just in listening, but sometimes asking questions. And, we've laughed through the years that few people ask questions.
Yes.
If you, at your next networking event, count how many questions you have to answer beyond the question, what do you do?
Yes.
And trust me, you won't run out of fingers on one hand. People just don't ask questions. And I think the reason is because we long to be known. It's just a human longing to be known. And the first chance we get to talk about ourselves, we just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And that's why the person who asks questions at a networking meeting never gets asked a question. And it's interesting, even shy people, they're not going to disclose a lot about themselves without probing, but they won't turn the thing around and ask questions. It's fascinating. So, but the greatest gift you can ever give a shy person is to genuinely be interested in their life and their thoughts.
Yes.
And this may sound funny, but CEOs of successful businesses rarely get asked insightful questions.
Yeah.
The kinds of questions they get asked have to do with quote unquote success.
Yeah.
How many hours a week do you work? What was the genius behind your first good idea? But not questions about the things that they value or what was the human problem that they saw that they could fix when they came up with their game-winning idea. So anyway, people long to be known, and if you learn to ask questions and be slow to speak, you will become valuable to lots of people. And unfortunately, I wish I could coach the people in your life to ask you questions. But one of the things you could probably do is just mention to your spouse or your friends. One of the things that seems to contribute to great relationships is good questions on both people's part, and see if they bite.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and it's thinking of questions that you can ask even before events will really help those that have a hard time with this. Come with a little list of maybe 5 questions, and that will help at events where we're going to start as this airs. Things are starting to loosen up a little bit more to get together with people and with all of that. But as you ask friends or your colleagues or even your spouse, but come up with a few of those questions that can be prompts, and that they always say the best liked person in the world in the room is usually the ones, we got along so well. They're such a great person. Yeah. It's because they kept asking you questions about you.
Yeah,
and you think that person is just the best person in that whole world because they actually took an interest in you. Well, that's a very important little principle here in even doing business, in asking people really what their feelings are, not just how are they doing or how, what type of business? Yeah, what do you do? I mean, that is the classic question that people do.
Yeah, beyond the question, what do you do? The next best question is what human problem are you trying to fix?
Yes.
And then just follow up on that. When they give you an answer to that, say, do you see that answer, you're resolving the issue this way? One of the things we talk about all the time is your podcast are all about trying to help people that have time get unstuck.
Right.
And you see that as a human dilemma, that people at the middle of life are wasting years of experience and giftedness by shelving it.
Yes.
And that for you is a real passion.
Yeah.
And if anybody ever asked you the question, you'd be able to go on and on and on about it.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I mean, we were just, with a group, a couple days ago, and I mentioned about, my type of business and what I help people do. And I always get this from especially the women, but the men too. Oh, I need that. Oh, that is great. Or yeah, I reinvented my life, about a couple years ago, but I was right at that point. Yeah. And so to understand there is really a need in this, and it just spurs me on to think, I just want to be able to help everybody. But, I know different things will help different people.
It's funny, though, that people, even when they admit that that's the place that they're at,
Yeah.
that fear holds them back from ever going anywhere. And you know, you've got so much good stuff on mindsets, overcoming negative mindsets.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're off the subject just a little bit.
I mean, it definitely is. Everybody's been given this God-given ability, but they have to act on it. They have to call on it. They have to, move ahead. And I think we were just talking about that even today. So, okay, be quick to listen, slow to speak. This is just exactly my next little point, is take a genuine interest in what they're doing, even finding things to do together. I want to expand here even because as spouses, this is where, we can find things to do together, but also as friends and colleagues and running, businesses. But what is like a genuine interest? Because, sometimes if you meet people, maybe it's the first time, you think, yeah, that was such a great conversation, but were they really interested in, what is,
right.
what is that?
Right.
That?
Well, what's fun with the internet is you can do genuine research and show genuine interest in somebody else's life. So if at a networking event you find out that they wanted to solve the problem of how to quickly get houseplants that were healthy and didn't cost a lot.
Right.
Well, if you wanted to prepare for the next networking meeting and be somewhat interesting, you can do a quick Google search on what's the size of the market of houseplants.
Yeah.
How many is Home Depot put out, and how many of those die quickly? You could do a little research and just show the person that you're actually really interested. You were interested in the conversation you had last month, and you're interested again this month.
Yes.
And the same thing goes with your spouse. If your spouse reads something interesting, like Debbie recently read a book on Disney, and if I wanted to follow up on that, learning a few extra facts about Disney, that we could talk about, and she may have already seen these, and she could elaborate further, but it just gives you a springboard into a conversation by doing just a little bit of research, and then you can take the conversation deeper that way.
Right. And I think that genuine interest is really so important. And I feel like I don't even do this enough with some of my colleagues, because I could even, find articles that would be appropriate and do, all of this. And there are some people that are so good at this, but, it's just time. Too.
Oh, yeah.
It's just totally time. And
whether that relationship really is that valuable, because you're trading time in order to impart value into that relationship.
Exactly.
But there's got to be some relationships in your month that potentially have the value that it's worth the time.
Yes. I think that was a really good point there on the value of those relationships, because and I talk about this a lot. I talked about it in my Women at Halftime, my book, of the importance of our different circles of contacts and how we have our close circle. We've got our acquaintances, and people are going to be in those different categories. And of course, the very outer circle is just all the social media out there, whatever. But to pick and choose the most important, valuable relationships to you, and not just for getting something, but really to be able to give something to them, genuinely interested in what they're doing. And that really pays off in a spousal relationship as well. Genuinely interested, because then it's not one-sided. And they've always told us, even from our marital counseling, that we hardly listened to when we first married. We thought we knew everything. Of course, we thought we knew everything. It's 100%. Oh yeah, I got that. It's just like But it really is to be all in for the other person.
Yep.
And anyway, so let's talk about kind of a last little point that I have down here for this, and I think then we'll do some end little just summing it up. But I put down the importance of flexibility. Be flexible with time and space, and I put this down because sometimes our expectations of each other kind of rise. I know we have had that throughout the years at different times of expectations. So, but that sort of flexibility that we can have with each other, and really letting each other kind of be who they are. Like, let you be who you are as a type B, but yet very social. You are I'm more of that introvert, and you tend to be more social. And I didn't totally recognize that. I should have known when we were first dating that you wanted to go talk at a bowling alley. So with the noise around you, I'm thinking, oh, where's the fireplace? Where's the nice and quiet? So why don't you expand on that a little bit, on that flexibility, what that means to you as well?
Well, time and space is interesting, because as your life gets more mature, you've got kids, your career is probably getting more successful. There is just more demand on your time and a reduction of your space. And if you think about it, the more successful people become, the greater the number of requests for bits of their time.
Definitely.
For a meeting, for a phone call, for a Zoom, whatever, for a consult.
Right.
You get nickeled and dimed to death, and then pretty soon it's after 5 o'clock, and you got a kids thing you got to go to. So when you finally get together, I found I had to prepare to enjoy moments together. I couldn't just go right up to the moment I was sitting in the chair and then turn my attention to you. I needed to anticipate it and start to get my head in the game. And getting your head in the game will allow you to enjoy the moments. If you're driving to a meeting with a colleague, instead of listening to talk radio or to some podcast and seeing if you can cram in more information into your brain, why don't you, if you're going to do a podcast, listen to a podcast that has to do with their industry or whatever challenges they happen to might be going through, so that you become prepared to provide value to that meeting, and you can enjoy the moment together more. And then as they share their life, learn to be thankful for what they're going through and for their input and for their influence on your life. Thankfulness is just such a rare quality, but it's such a infusion of value. I have found that the most successful marriages tend to reflect thankfulness.
Yes.
And the most successful management teams tend to be one that are thankful for their employees and not the ones that are continuing to beat one another up.
Right.
And
I think that thankfulness, gratefulness, that spurs the flexibility as well, because you want them. I want you to finish what you're working on and to be flexible with that time. I want you to be able to go out and hit a few golf balls.
And when you do that, you're in a non-verbal way saying that you respect my time, you respect my interest. So it's a great way to communicate respect.
Yeah, it really is. And you do the same thing for me. And I'm writing a new article. Oh, can you just look at this real quick? Real quick, yeah. You're going, give me an afternoon.
So remember that real quick in Deb's brain and real quick in my brain are completely different things.
Totally different.
I need to get away with a cup of coffee and have time to muse.
Yeah.
Because I can't just read something and edit out, no, you shouldn't have used the here. You should have used this. Or.
And you know what? I am really glad you said that, because some people that are listening to this, they're going to go, oh, that was the best thing they ever said today, because that's going to really help us right now. Because we are all so different, and God made us different. We are just different. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it fun as well. When you focus on that fun, focus on the thankfulness. And
learn to appreciate the differences.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, just to sum this up, be friends. Don't have that competitive attitude, but inspire each other. Be on each other's team, rooting them on, encouraging them to reach their potential, not your idea for them. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and take a genuine interest in what they are doing. And not just to get what you want, but really a genuine interest. And then that leads to your flexibility of time and space. And did you have anything else to add to this?
No,
or just
I hope everybody
comments?
Enjoys this and has some good takeaways.
Yeah, it was just a really a great session. And I really want to thank all the listeners for being with us today. Next week, oh, you're going to like this one. I've already, as this airs, already aired the intellectual property, the importance of this and the developing this. But next week, I'm going to talk about why some people finish projects and some don't, and how to finish. Now, something I am really known for is I finish projects, and I know how to push them through the door. It's how I help other people as well doing their projects. So I hope you join me. You can listen, subscribe with the womenatalftime.com. You can always reach me there. Remember to check out the blog at goalsforyourlife.com/blog. There's a link on there as well on the womenatalftime.com. You can get there and also subscribe to our mailing list. And I love reviews. I hope you go, especially on like Apple Podcasts or a program. This is on several different ones. So thank you again for being with both of us today. And I'll look forward to being with you next time. So bye for now. Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson, signing off.